This is the United States Energy Association Power Sector Podcast. I'm your host, Herman K. Trabish. I've covered the power sector since 2006, and I currently report for Utility. In this episode of the Power Sector Podcast, Robert Mitchell, a pioneer in electric transmission development and energy sector policy, is going to talk about the Energy Project, an exciting new approach to helping the public engage with the critical issues facing power sector. Bob led the building of key transmission systems for California clean energy and for New England offshore wind development. In government, Bob was Alaska Senator Mike Gravel's chief of staff, was a President Carter appointee to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and was a member of Michigan Governor James Blanchard's cabinet. Bob also served on the board of the California Foundation for the Economy and Environment and was founder and president of the Bipartisan Leadership Project. So, Bob, what is this new thing you're taking on, the Energy Project? What media outlets are you going to try and send it through? When will we be able to see and hear it?
Great. Well, thank you, Herman. It's great to be with you and admire the work that you do with your podcast. Um, Thank you for having me to talk about the Energy Project. It is in the spirit of bipartisanship that this project is taken on. I, 30 years ago, started a bipartisan program. The first program at Michigan State University is still going, over 850 graduates, adults, not just students, and over 55% of those graduates, half Republican, half Democrat, half men, half women, over 55% have gone on to get elected to public office. We're really proud of that. We have a
Oh,
program at George Mason University, and we're starting a new program next year at University of Nevada, Reno. So we haven't over the years taken on issues, but the energy field has become as divisive as the Republican and Democrat in Congress.
right.
And so we're undertaking this effort to bring together 50 or so experts from around the country who are representative of various aspects of the energy industry to look at energy more from a bipartisan perspective. What can we do to lower the competitiveness between fossil and renewable? We have everybody talks about, well, we've got this huge energy demand, and we need all of the above, and yet we're not working together as a industry to support all of the above. So that's what we're about.
But you haven't really said what the energy, where will we see the Energy Project? What evidence will we
Yeah.
see that? And by the way, before you answer that, I just want to mention we recently had on the podcast the co-founder of the Bipartisan Policy Center,
Hmm.
Jason Grumet, who
Yeah.
co-founded that with some of the really outstanding leading Senate majority leaders, Tom
Yes.
Dash and Howard Baker. And he talked about the same thing. He talked about how what we really need is all of the above energy. But
Exactly.
and hopefully that's the Energy Project will be talking about all energy, but where will we see it and how will we know about the Energy Project?
For sure, we have, and by the way, Jason and I go back a number of years. He's a great guy. He
Yeah.
did a fantastic job putting together the Policy Center. And at various points, we talked about collaborating, he policy, me leadership. But he's now at ACP doing a
Yeah.
super job there. Uh, well, you're going to see it for sure on the PBS Books, which is part of Detroit PBS. But PBS Books is a national platform of PBS that distributes programming to all of the current 340 PBS stations around the country. So we
Mm.
believe that we will be reaching the thinking audience. Not that people in other networks aren't thinking, but that's unique to PBS with or without funding from Trump and the federal government. But uh, there we will rely a good deal on social media, and we will introduce our programs to other more commercial networks as well.
Interesting. So you'll be making what sort of have the flavor of a PBS style TV programs, which many of us will probably be able to get to see on our local PBS outlets,
Yes.
although they are independent. Those PBS outlets are independent. I think it's important to
They
stress that
are.
right now, with the funding issues up in the air.
Right.
But I take it you're working with people that know how to manage media technology, so they can put these things out in different, slightly different forms on
Exactly.
YouTube and Instagram. And
Exactly. And this is our plan. We're going to start off with what we're calling conversations. And so we will have 10 to 15 interviews, not unlike what you do,
Mhm.
that will be with energy experts in the various fields. The second phase will be what we're calling explainers. And the
Mm,
explainers will help give the public an understanding of what's behind solar, what's behind wind, what's behind the fossil, hydrogen, geothermal, etc. There's a real lack of knowledge in the public sphere about how we produce energy and distribute energy. There'll be my background is transmission, so you can count on the fact that there'll be a segment or two on transmission and how we have not invested in our transmission system for 20, 30 years. And so then the third element will be longer programs that will get into more depth. This is a 3-year commitment that we're making. And the goal is to raise the level of understanding of the American public about their energy situation. And
wow.
prices are going up, as you know, and the consumers' backlash will become stronger and stronger. There's the issue of whether or not this demand is created solely by data centers and AI. I don't think it is, although it is terribly significant. I also don't think that all of the high predictions about energy demand from the AI and the data centers will actually materialize. We know, in fact, that some data centers are applying for permits in 3, 4, 5 different areas because they know that not every one of them are going to work, and so that
Right, but
elevates.
but but the urgency of the energy project and the understanding that you guys are trying to create extends beyond that demand. I mean, we're transitioning to electrification in transportation and buildings, as well as data centers, and we have a grid, a power system. I actually dislike the word grid. It's a power system that we need to
Yeah,
rebuild, and
yes,
uh, and
exactly.
we have all these weather events, extreme weather events that we have to that need to be addressed by different solutions. And I imagine the energy project is going to go into the variety of solutions for all these things,
It,
isn't it?
exactly. And certainly your point about weather and fires, it's not just in California, it's not just in the West, it's in Canada, it's in North Carolina, South Carolina, etc. These problems are pretty much universal throughout the country.
I'm just curious though, you mentioned fossil fuels, so that could be oil, that could be coal, that could be natural gas. You've mentioned solar and wind and geothermal. It- how do you present these topics? I know you haven't done the programming in 3 years, by the
Yeah.
way. All of these topics, oil's going to be real different in 3 years if the last 3 years are any measure. Same with natural gas, solar, wind. Geothermal is
Right.
about to go through an unbelievable transformation. So
Exactly.
how are you going to take these things on? Have you thought about, are you going to do like the history of geothermal, and then this advanced geothermal that people are talking about, or how are you going to do that?
Well,
Tell us a little bit about, and make it a little concrete, Bob. I'm sorry to keep
no, that's
sounding
okay.
like I'm in, but make it, tell us a few specific energies or technologies that you're going to address and how you think you might address them.
Well, we will address each of the energy forms, and what we're going to do is take a little different approach than what is typical. You know, there's the Harvard business model that suggests that you first describe the problem, and then
Mhm.
you look at options and then find your solution. Uh, I have a very different philosophy and approach to problem solving than that, and we'll be asking working groups to identify what is the ideal. Look at that first with no
Hmm.
constraints. Don't be constricted by, what's the problem today, or is there a budget problem, or is there a infrastructure or supply chain? What's the ideal? So each of these programs we hope will first deal with what's the ideal, and then identify, well, where are we today? And how do we get from where we are today to where we want to be in the ideal? So I want to take a trip to Santa Fe and I'm in Washington, D.C. How do I know where I want to go. I know what's ideal. I want to go to Santa Fe for the Western Governors Conference. How do I do it? What are the steps that are necessary? And it produces different results. I have experienced this in management situations and other working group situations. You get a fresh new perspective that's not constrained by existing reality.
Mm. And you expect to take on all the various energy technologies. Now, when you talk about the
Mhm.
ideal, are you saying an ideal situation where you have all the energy technologies? Which ones are the ideal ones to choose? Or with nuclear, what's the ideal? With geothermal,
Yeah.
what's the ideal? With wind, what's the ideal?
Well, there is, as a part of the ideal, is establishing, where are we today? And what has become clear to me just in the very early days of getting this started is that there is no unanimity on what are the facts.
Right.
I heard a presenter a week ago who is from a very partisan think tank, and this person presented facts that was challenged by 8 to 10 people in the audience. Uh,
Mm.
uh, and this person was an expert, an economist, an expert. No agreement. So, as a part of where are we today, it's to also establish, well, can we come to an agreement on what are the facts? And one of the big things that we want to tackle is not just the means of production or distribution, but this issue, which I think is the biggest issue we have in this country. I worked for a United States Senator in the 1970s, Senator Gravel from Alaska. Energy was a big part of Alaska, as you know, and in fact, we worked to support the creation of the Alaska oil pipeline, even though he had a strong environmental background. Uh, there was no energy policy at the national level. That was 50 years ago. There's still no real energy policy. So we have Biden come in, who swings everything off to the left and with renewables. We have Trump come in, and everything swings to the right with fossil fuel, etc. And that is so counterproductive to building a reliable, stable energy future. It's
Yeah.
not one or the other. Environmentalists and have to come to the agreement, understand there will probably always be fossil fuel, and the fossil fuel industry needs to come to an agreement. There will always be a renewable energy aspect. So let's quit fighting. Let's quit trying to block each other, this and that. Let's find a way to create a stable, reliable energy policy that transcends this president, that president. And I really truly believe that that means that the Congress of the United States has to become much more aggressive on a bipartisan perspective to establish an energy policy that will stand up against the next president, the next president, the next president.
Yeah, that really gets, I want to dig into that. That's really the last question I wanted to talk to you about, Bob. Energy, I don't know if people really understand that energy is the foundation of the US economy. Without energy, if energy prices change, it affects the economy. Without energy, there is no economy. But the whole subject, as you say, it's become so polarized and so
Yeah.
politicized. And nobody remembers. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that there was agreement on both sides of the aisle from at least many members that
Uh-huh.
green is red, white, and blue.
Yes.
It's that simple. But people don't remember that because of what's happened in the last, I don't know, decade or so. I don't want
Right.
to pin it on any particular time or person.
It's not necessary.
You've worked on the bipartisan projects for a long time. How do you imagine the energy project helping Americans find energy solutions that will serve the economy and national security? Can you make people that are polarized and politicized understand that we need a meeting of the minds, that it's all of the above on a level playing field that will serve our economy and protect our national security?
Yeah, good question. I want to challenge you and not to nitpick, but you said, can I make people
Ah,
see this? And
wave your
obviously,
magic wand. Wave your magic
obviously
wand.
you or I and 50 others aren't going to make anybody do it. But here's what happens in the experience that I have had in bringing people together to focus on bipartisanship. People, when you bring them together for a training, they come in with their fist directed toward each other. We're going to dominate. We're going to show them up. We're going to show that we're better, and so on. After a few sessions, those extreme views start to evaporate. And what I'm hoping is that through taking a very fresh approach by bringing together 50, 55 people for the various aspects of the industry, that they'll start talking to each other in a healthier way than what's going on through conversations that are covered in the media or in other competitive situations.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, one of the classic examples that I often refer to is in this television series Landman, which is about the oil industry. The couple of
Yes.
characters really effectively capture the spirit of those characters. The actors capture the spirit of those characters that they're playing, but the message that goes out is this one-sided message. Like, for instance, you can't possibly build enough renewable energy right now to power the economy. But that's not the point. The point is, what kind of mix do we want to work toward? Am I getting at the kind of bipartisan concept that you're thinking of?
We should put you on the advisory panel for the energy project. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, uh, elected presidents in recent years have used energy for promotion with their constituency, and are we through this project going to alter that course? Well, no, perhaps not, but the industries support elected officials, and if the industries, I'm talking broadly now, can foster a healthier dialogue, it will also affect elected officials to back off of just, feeding red meat to one industry or the other.
Want to thank my guest, Robert Mitchell, co-founder of Three Rivers Energy Development and a pioneer in electric transmission development, for describing the Energy Project, a new approach to engaging the public on the critical issues facing the power sector. I also want to thank our listeners for taking the time to check out the USEA Power Sector Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with everybody you know our quest for energy transition solutions.